As the winter months drew to a close, and Tirneach began to thaw into spring, it took with it the uneasy peace that had lain across the realms during those winter months. The 800th Bridging Day celebrations that marked the passing from 800 TR to 801 TR proved a reason for all to celebrate, even for the Galoglig who mustered in Uasa before their return to service. For Cuach na Raig, the journey from Uasa to Bruid must have proved a melancholy one. The mission that lay before them would have daunted even the most seasoned warrior, for they had been called to Bruid to deal with a new monster terrorizing the lands, known as the Smiling Gwicht. Rumours of the Gwicht's fearsome aspects and abilities were rife, even far afield from Bruid, with some saying that the creature's foul appetite left behind no trace of its victims, and that the danger it posed surpassed even those the realm of Bruid is famous for. Amidst these rumours came the worrying reports that contact had been entirely lost with the remote villages in the realm. Given these reports, it must have been a relief for the band to see the signs of life from Trogrog as they set up their camp outside of town. The town of Trogrog is no stranger to mystery and tragedy. It is not the first town to be set up in that location, nor the first to bear the name Trogrog. The original town was founded in the early years of the realm of Bruid, its settlers taking advantage of the unusually quiet coast, as the fierceness of the Shaper's Sea was blunted by Dún Ilrin, providing its residents with a great advantage compared with other coastal areas. In approximately the year 600 TR, a group of travellers visited and found the town empty, without a trace of life. Not a single resident remained to tell the tale of what occurred. Only the symbol of the sun etched into the town square gave any clue of what preceded the disappearance. Despite the event, the Irla of Bruid encouraged the resettlement of the town, for amidst the dark and wild places of Bruid, such a habitable spot could not be left for the forest to reclaim. Yet, as Cuach na Raig arrived, the residents had begun to find the symbol of the sun carved about the town, and with it came rumours that the town's doom was returning. Donoran, rider of the town and employer of the band, greeted them keenly, eager to see them prove their mettle, for the quarry they were to seek was fearsome indeed. The days of uncertainty, fear and doubt that had affected his riding had left him eager for a solution to the Smiling Gwicht. It was said that the creature left few survivors and even fewer traces of its victims, who were consumed utterly by its appetite. Even as rider Donoran sought to evaluate Cuach na Raig's abilities, so too could the band get a sense of the misfortunes faced by the rider, and Trogrog as a whole. The ritual circle used by the town, and to be used by the band, had become corrupted by an infestation of creatures that seeped into the very ley lines beneath. The band were faced with a choice, either to make use of a traditional ritual of cleansing that could render the circle unusable, leaving the settlement and the band without such a place of power until another natural concurrence of ley lines emerged, or to attempt an untried arcane ritual that sought to draw the creatures out so that they might be destroyed. Opting for the latter, the band performed the experimental ritual and drew forth the creatures, foul pests grown fat on fear. Though they were put to the sword, it was said that confusion and fear reigned amongst the camp that night, even as they deftly fended off attacks from undead and Gwicht. At the start of the second day of the mission, the Dawn Guard were greeted by a pervasive buzzing about the camp, mere moments before a swarm of Trotstalk descended upon them. The Guard were beset by scores of the creatures, while even more descended upon those emerging from their tents after waking to the commotion. The fierce reputation of the Trotstalk held true, as although the band slew a plethora of the beasts, they did not escape the encounter unscathed. 2 members of the band were carried off by the creatures, while another 2 eventually succumbed to their wounds from the encounter. The 4 members of the band who fell during the encounter were Ambrosio de Castana, master of camp of the band, a fire-touched who hailed from Rohagar and a veteran of the Battle of Scarlet Heather; Cahasig Mactira, watchmaster of the band, a human from Bruid who was formerly a member of the Oakhearts, and a veteran of the battles of Macca's Folly and the siege of the Blazing Host. Aid, a Lazir from Bruid and torchbearer Kinnera, who was also a veteran of the siege by the Blazing Host. And Cruach, a linebreaker Vartuk from Shival, a former member of MacArthur's Griffins and a veteran of Macca's Folly and the Battle of Scarlet Heather. The attack by the Trotzdog was far from the only concern the band faced in the morning of the second day. In the midst of laying their dead to rest, the band came under attack by a group of peace slayers who tried to subdue and abscond with members of the band who were Kinnera. The group of peace slayers were thought to have been led by an especially murderous peace slayer going by the name of Tirneach the Mad MacUltan. Further, the band came face to face with their quarry, the Smiling Wicht itself making its presence known, attacking the band and seeming impervious to all harm. Despite the best efforts of the band, they were reduced to limiting the harm it could cause and defeating the lesser Gwicht teeth that surrounded it. It harried them across the day, emerging unbidden and without warning. Despite these challenges, the band achieved much during the second day. An investigation into the town of Wetzelsheim, which had been out of contact for a number of weeks, revealed that the entire town had been slain and the town overrun with undead. Faced with a seeming unending number of the undead creatures, the band set the town alight to end the threat. The loss of the physical infrastructure, a small price to pay to bring an end to the undead threat. The band also accepted a job to clear out a number of vaults from undead creatures, at the request of a Fire-Touched, who believed that one of the vaults contained the secret to eternal life. What occurred in the vaults is unknown, but rumour has it that their employer was carried out unconscious, and the vault was left empty. Amidst the other encounters, a crucial breakthrough came during the second day of the mission, when, during an encounter with the Smiling Wicht, it was discovered that it became vulnerable as it was attempting to consume a fallen adversary. However, this presented a great challenge to the band, as it meant that in order to truly harm the creature, one of their number would have to be on the brink of death. The third day of the mission began with some unexpected news for the band. An adversary they had come upon during their mission to Shival, the bandit MacRobin, was in the area, having built up a new gang of bandits. Although their main focus was to put an end to the Smiling Wicht and the danger it posed, this was an opportunity the band could not ignore. Having advance notice of his intended route, the band laid an ambush, intending to put an end to his raiding across the realms. Following a short but fierce battle, MacRobin's gang was scattered once more, though MacRobin himself managed to escape, rising after being dealt what should have been serious wounds. With the threat of MacRobin dealt with for the time being, the band turned their attention back to the greater danger. The band gathered all the members that could be spared and struck out into the wilderness to bring an end to the foul Gwicht. Aided by Rider Donoran, who was desperate to bring an end to the pallor of despair that hung over Trogreg and its people. In an attempt to lure the beast into making itself vulnerable, members of the band allowed themselves to be brought close to the brink of death, so that the Smiling Wicht might try to consume them, and thus leave itself open to being killed. Even so, with the swarming teeth about it, for many, there was no choice involved, as the smaller Gwicht dragged their unconscious bodies towards the insatiable mouth of the Smiling Wicht, and Rider Donoran fell and was consumed. At last, following a hard-fought battle, the Smiling Wicht was eventually slain, leaving the band to relish the victory and to mourn the losses that the mission had wrought upon them. Despite the victory that they had achieved, the band did not have long to rest, their Thane having already committed them to travel to Druid to assist the Arcane College in expanding its campus. The sealed tunnels around the college, into which the expansion was planned, contained no small number of significant threats, including those that had been sealed away in desperation during the siege by the Blazing Host. With this task ahead of them, rumours circled that all was not well within the band, and that one or more of their number was to be punished for misdeeds committed during the mission in Bruit. In the dark tunnels on the outskirts of Druid society, they would discover whether the band could endure such strife amidst the darkness of Druid's tunnels, or whether their tight confines would be their graves.